What is going on, you guys? Bastion YJ here, back at it again with the Lair Darkness deck. Now I did go ahead and originally make this deck back when the structure deck first came out back in 2017, 2018. It's been so long I cannot remember, but the deck has been so much fun. I want to go ahead and bring it out one more time now that I've go ahead and I built the meta deck. Now I can go ahead and start building the fun, the rogue, the different strategies, and trying to go ahead and learn a little bit more about it. I want to go ahead and build True Draco, but this video is not about True Draco, it's about the Lair Darkness deck. So I want to go ahead and get right into it, guys, and just explain to you guys how this deck has evolved with the most recent sets that have been passed out, but it's pretty much going to go ahead and play very similarly. Now, of course, you're going to go ahead and start off with two of the Darkest Diablos boss monster. This boss monster is absolutely insane. It cannot be tributed face up by your opponent, which means it cannot be kaiju, it cannot be raw sphere mode, which makes it that much more of an interesting card to go ahead and play around. Of course, it can still be targeted, but that's fine. Now, this card, the reason why it's so good, because it's very easy to go ahead and bring out in the deck. As long as a dark monster I control, or that you control as a turn player, is tributed, this card immediately just comes out with it from your hand or the grave, so you can immediately just go ahead and summon a whole bunch of these, no problem. But we're going to go ahead and leave it at 2 because it can get a little bit bricky at 3, and it also has a great spot removal. You can tribute a dark monster, period. Like, that's it, semicolon. And this paired up with Lair Darkness makes it so good, because with Lair Darkness, Darkest Diablos can actually go ahead and tribute your opponent's monsters as well. Right now, after you tribute your opponent's monster with Lair Darkness, Darkest Diablos is going to go ahead and send one card from their hand to the top or bottom of the deck, giving it a hand looping effect. Now, what this deck is meant to do is to limit your opponent's resources as much as possible, right? Your opponent's going to want to go ahead and add more cards to their hand, where it might be, but your job is to just prevent all that just by tributing their monsters and keeping them in the loop, and just tributing and destroying all their monsters with all the interruption that we're going to play. So of course, you're going to play 2 Darkest Diablos and 1 Dark-Armed Dragon. Dark-Armed Dragon has been so good for so long. It's just been hard to find a deck that can go ahead and play consistently, and this is where Lair Darkness comes in. I think it's a really fun tech to go ahead and play. Very easily special summonable with this deck. All you need is 3 dark monsters, and then you can go ahead and just summon this card out 2000 B-Stick basically for free. And then it allows you to go ahead and banish dark monsters in your graveyard to go ahead and destroy cards on the field, which is just so good. It gives it that much more interruption, right? Next, first you want to play the triple Arima. Now, Arima, because terraforming is at 1, you definitely want to go ahead and max this out, because this card you can discard. So this card you can discard to go ahead and add 1 Lair Darkness from your deck to your hand, which means that you're playing 8 8 copies of Lair of Darkness in your deck, because we do play 1 terraforming and 1 metaverse just in case. But Arima is so good for that one reason. And if you already have the Lair of Darkness in your hand and you don't need to activate that effect, that's perfectly fine. It still has another really good effect, where you can tribute a dark monster and draw 1 card, including itself. You can tribute itself, draw a card, but if you tribute a dark monster other than this card, you can add a dark monster with 2000 or more defense from your deck to your hand, meaning you can tribute this and add Darkest Diablos from your deck to your hand. And then because you tributed a dark monster, you can go ahead and summon Darkest Diablos from your hand to the field. This is why this deck is so nuts. It's so much fun to play. Arima is one of the best cards in this entire deck. Then we go on to our main starter card, which is Lilith, the Lady of Lament. Lilith is such a good card, not only because it's your search card, but because its effect to search is a quick effect. So this card reads, quick effect, tribute 1 dark monster, semicolon. And that itself is broken enough, right? Because with Lair of Darkness, you can actually tribute a monster on your opponent's board. So with Lilith, you can actually go ahead and tribute a dark monster and then reveal 3 normal traps in your deck, then your opponent chooses one at random and you get to go ahead and set it, but that's okay. That's why we play 3-ups of most of the really good trap cards in this deck. You know, the Imperms, the Trap Trick, the Back to the Front, so good, such an amazing card. And then you go ahead and bring it back with a card back to the front, and then you can go ahead and use it on your opponent's turn. Such an amazing card. And then the most recent form of support for the deck is Malice, Lady of Lament, another really good card for the deck. So this basically reads as quick effect: tribute 2 monsters, then target 1 normal trap that is banished or in your graveyard, and set that target, but placing the bottom deck when it leaves the field. The reason why this is so good is because you can still tribute one of your opponent's monsters to go ahead and activate your effect. By the way, Lair of Darkness is only once per turn when you can tribute your opponent's monster. So you go ahead, tribute your opponent's monster and Malice to go ahead and set the trap from your banish or graveyard, which means you can go ahead and continuously acting your Imperm, your Trap Trick, your Dogmatic Punishment. It just makes it so good to go ahead and continue interrupting. Plus, its interruption itself is so good. Such an amazing card. So much fun to play. And then, of course, at the end of the monster lineup, we do play 1 Skarm of the Burning Abyss. So basically, all this is good for is to search through your Lilith. You go ahead and send it off with Foolish. However you can get it in the graveyard, does not matter. It allows you to search your Lilith, and that's really all you need before you play it at 1. Nothing really more than that is too necessary, as it can get a bit clunky if you play it more than 1. Next, of course, we do play double Monster Gate. Monster Gate is such an amazing card because with Lair of Darkness, you can go ahead and tribute your opponent's monster to get a free special summon from your deck. That is insane. It's a 1-for-1 exchange, and it's so good to play Monster Gate. I would play this at 3, but unfortunately I cannot find the space for it, so we play at 2 just for now. Next, we're going to play 3 of the Extravagance. Now, Extravagance has gone down in price, fortunately, because of the Maximum Gold that just came out. Amazing set, by the way. So because Extravagance has gone down, you definitely want to go ahead and pick up your copy as soon as possible. Same thing with Infinite Impermanence. So go ahead and pick up your 3 copies. So good in this deck, because this deck does not rely on the extra deck at all. Like, at all. So what makes it so good is that because it doesn't rely on the extra deck at all, it allows you to go ahead and just dig deeper into your deck to make sure you're able to get the Lair of Darkness. The one weakness of this deck is that it is very reliant on having that Lair of Darkness up. I want to compare it to similar to like a ABC back in the day, where ABC was very reliant on its Union Hanger field spell. This is very similar, but of course it's not nearly to that level. But it's still a card you definitely need to go ahead and play at 3 if you can. Next, of course, Terraforming, so self-explanatory. Foolish Burial, again, self-explanatory. Go ahead and send your Skarm, or if Skarm's already in the grave, you can go ahead and use this to send your Diabolos to the grave, and then once you tribute, you go ahead and special summon it. Gives you more and more advantage. Then, because this deck just needs it and is so good with it, because Lair of Darkness makes every face-up monster on the field become dark, Super Polymerization instantly becomes a must 3-of. Because with this, you can go ahead and fuse all your opponent's monsters if it becomes available, and special summon a Predator Plant, special summon the Starving Venom, and it just makes it so good because every single card on your opponent, every single monster your opponent controls now is dark, making Super Polymerizations that more of a lively target. Then of course you play triple Lair of Darkness, amazing card. Also, during the end phase of the turn, you get to go. The turn player gets to special summon as many torment tokens equal to the number of times the monster was tributed that turn. This works for yourself and your opponent as well, so do be aware of this. But there's no limit to how many you can go ahead and summon. Of course, there is the 5 monster spots, but you can go ahead and summon 5 torment tokens if possible as well. So really cool card, and just pretty much the heart and soul of this deck, right? Just pretty much it for the spell guide, not get too crazy with it. Traps, very easy lineup. Triple Imperm, triple Back to the Front, triple Trap Trick. No real need for me to explain these. Normal trap cards, all searchable. Double Dogmatic Punishment. Only reason I do not play this at 3 is because we do play Extravagance, and it may cause some of your resources to go ahead and get banished. So it's always good to just go ahead and keep this at 2 as to refrain from making too many bricks. Then, of course, we do play the 1 Metaverse, which is another way to go ahead and get the Lair Darkness, Double Compulse, and the 1 Skill Drain. Now, the reason why I play Double Compulse well, I don't play it at 3 just because I don't have space in this deck, but I do want to go ahead and mention that Compulse is such a good card in this current meta format. Compulse, Book of Moon, only because the current decks, well, not all of them, but a lot of them do rely very heavily on their first normal summon. I know Prank Kids is very, very heavy reliant on the first normal summon. Same thing with Virtual World. Same thing with like a Zoo. You can go ahead and just compulse it back to the hand, and that pretty much shuts off their turn after they go ahead and summon once, unless they have the barrage. So it's just such a good card to go ahead and keep, and making the Compulse searchable with Lilith is just ridiculous. So highly recommend go ahead and place at 2. Now if you want to go ahead and make a few changes, I would recommend putting in another Compulse in there. If you want to go ahead and a little bit make any changes at all, another Compulse or Dogmatic Punishment is perfectly fine. As far as the extra deck, it really just is Super Poly targets, or they're going to be Dogmatica punishment targets. Basically, the first 2 are 5-headed dragon. Only reason why I play these is because I know there are some decks that can put out some monsters that are way more than the ins attack points, so 2,500. So for those monsters that are 3,500, 4,000 attack for no reason whatsoever, I do play 5-headed dragon. That way there's no way that Dogmatic Punishment isn't live when I activate it. I actually was playing in when I was testing. I went up against this guy who summoned the 3,300 attack kaiju, and I couldn't get around it because I wasn't playing the 5-headed dragon. So I want to go ahead and throw 2 in here just in case. You never know what might happen. So 2 5-headed dragon, triple of the Predator Plant. Not even gonna attempt to say that name. I'm definitely gonna butcher it. 3 Starving Venom Fusion Dragon, triple Elder Entity Ints, and then double of the Mud Dragon of the Swamp. Now, the last 2 cards we play in extra deck is 2 Link Spider for your Torment tokens, just so you can get them out the way so they're not too clunky in your monster zone. But if you want to go ahead and take these 2 out and slap another Mud Dragon, another 5-headed dragon, that's absolutely fine as well. This deck gives you that much freedom. So that pretty much is for the deck profile, guys. But I do want to show you guys how the deck actually works. So in order to do that, I'm going to show you guys 2 quick replays of me going up against some of the top meta decks in this format. Alright, so here we are going up against the Infernoble deck. Now, of course, this deck is very, very powerful tier 1 deck, but of course you're going to go ahead and just play the Imperm, shut down the whole play right there. Now, you don't play Ash, which means you can't put the tactical talents in that turn, which makes it that much more viable card. Now, they do go ahead and add our Arima, and that's perfectly fine. We'll still go ahead and attack over the gold. Now, with Summon Cease, we're going to go ahead and activate Pragmatica. Top 2, Hill Triple Tactical, that's fine. So it does hurt a bit, but this top deck is going to be so good. The Diablo shows how strong it really can be. So tribute off the Arima and draw a card, tribute special on Diablo, send the Skarn with Foolish Burial, add a Lilith, and now we just have that much more of a menacing board on the field. Now it's just 1 card. It's itself wasn't gonna do anything, but the fact that we have Lilith and we pretty much got rid of all of our opponent's resources made it that much more of a viable strategy, right? So next, this time we're going against Golden Lord, and I have no idea how this deck works. I didn't play against it. I was not playing when it was a deck, so it was funny that we started off pretty similarly. I drew and pretty much set 4 cards. I didn't have anything else in my hand, and they start off pretty similarly, which I thought was funny, which is just set 5, summon 1, attack pass, and this is where the knowledge of the deck really comes into play. Right, so we're going to go ahead, Extravagance, draw 2, I activate Lair Darkness. It does have the Dogmatic Punishment, which we should have activated when I activated Lair Darkness to get rid of it, but last my opponent did not do so, and it allowed us to go ahead and summon the Lilith. an attempt to go ahead and tribute, just made it that much more advantage in our favor, right? Go ahead and summon Golden Lair, that's fine. Dogmatic Punishment, it gives you so much more interruption, but it's really just about knowing when to go ahead and activate the cards, right? Timing is everything with this deck, making sure that you use the proper interruption depending on the deck that they're playing. Being this summon the Golden Lord, I'm completely unfazed by it. Just summon Lilith, tribute it off again, and no matter what my opponent does from this turn on, I just pretty much win, because no matter how many times they do summon Eldritch, I'm just gonna Lilith and send it back and tribute it to go ahead and gain more advantage myself, or I can compulse it back to the hand, or I can Dogmatic Punishment. I still have a bipedal dragon in the graveyard, and even with my Lilith, I'm still gonna go ahead and search even more trap cards to go ahead and just continue building my board with more interruptions. So that's pretty much it for Lair Darkness deck profile, guys. I hope you guys did enjoy. Leave a like if you did, subscribe down below for more, and I will see y'all in the next one. Later.